What's up, guys? It's another episode of Opening Doors Podcast. Today I'm here with Veronica Tummins. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing pretty good.
That's good. So I kind of wanted to bring you on, just kind of ask you some questions about you and kind of your real estate career and kind of go from there.
Okay.
So let's have a little bit about you and your background.
How much do you want to know?
As much as you want to tell.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I relocated to Huntsville back in 2010 after traveling here for work with the Army. Just kind of fell in love with the place. It was completely different from growing up in the middle of Baltimore City. Just really serene and quiet and peaceful. So after that visit in 2008, I just decided that Huntsville was home and I packed up everything that could fit in my car and I moved. I left everything behind. And
Ooh, wow.
Yep, I transferred my job here to Redstone and made a couple friends at work um, and just kind of started life from there. So now here we are, 2023, and I have four wonderful children and an amazing husband that's now in construction and building. Um, I'm currently a real estate broker after being in real estate for about 2.5 years. Started my own company just recently. Yay. My husband kind of nudged me to do that. Well, it was more of a kick off a cliff than a nudge, but
Yeah.
he pushed me to do it after just like a number of experiences over the past 2 years. I'm really happy that I did it. It's challenging, but overall, very rewarding for the most part.
Okay. All right. So what kind of inspired you to get in real estate?
That's a long story, actually. And it kind of starts with Christmas. So my parents, growing up, we always at Christmas time would go out to different neighborhoods to look at the lights. So in Baltimore, there's this neighborhood, 24th Street. So because of the connection with the movie Miracle on not 24th, 34th Street.
34th Street.
Yep, I messed that up. It's 34th, not 24th. But as a kid, we always went to see this neighborhood, and it was always so beautifully decorated. I mean, like when I tell you a billion lights, every single house on that block was covered in like Christmas, any and everything. Seeing that as a kid was just, it was wonderful, and it kind of kept that magic in Christmas. Doing that kind of spilled over into like my mom and I going out to like tour model homes and like going to like different neighborhoods. So something that I've always been interested in. It started at that young age and it's just something that I enjoyed doing even into like adulthood. I would just go out on weekends and look at model homes and just dream of having like one of those big fancy homes one day with like a pool and all that stuff. Um, and then I think it was like right when COVID first started, it's kind of trapped in the house, can't really do much, and miss being able to go out and see all these different models. My husband was just like, well, now is the perfect time for you to kind of go to real estate school. You've always talked about it, but you've never like taken any action to do it. And I'm just like, real estate school? Like, really? No, I just like looking at houses. And he's like, well, you spend so much time like touring these homes and like you go to meet your friends to look at houses. And, when they're thinking about buying or selling, you guys are sitting down doing like these pros and cons lists and like looking at different homes and going to all these different neighborhoods. You may as well get paid to do it. And I'm like, what? And, it's like at the time, I honestly had no idea what realtors really did, how much you got paid, like really no idea whatsoever. It was the love for just touring model homes and like seeing different neighborhoods. So when I started real estate school back in, I think it was February of 2021, I went into that class like with no kind of background knowledge about real estate whatsoever. And boy, was I in for the ride of my life because Shonda Davis at Superior School of Real Estate was my teacher. It was a very interesting class. Shonda's very animated, and there's a lot of stories that goes along with attending the class. But I really went into it just, for lack of better terms, just very ignorant as to like what all goes into real estate. Took the class, finished at the end of February. I think the beginning of March, took my final, passed it the first time, and I was just like, oh, I guess I learned something. I didn't expect to pass because it was a really tough test. And I think like the final for the class, I passed with like a 70, and you needed a 70 to pass. And I was like, oh, well, at least I don't have to do it again. But then I think I studied for like 2 weeks, and I went and took the state exam and got a 92. And I was like, how did I do that? Because I only got a 70 on the final for my, for my real estate class. So I was really happy about that. And then, did the application, sent off for my license and all that. And my very first sale, I reached out to a friend that had relocated here from Maryland, someone that I had been friends with through the Army, working for Army Audit Agency. And she had just relocated here the year before and purchased a home. And I just remembered like talking to her, during her process of like relocating and sending her different homes. And, the house that she was in, she liked it, but it wasn't really like her dream home. It wasn't quite right. So as soon as I got my license, I remember reaching out to her like, hey, Stacy, I know you said you like your home, but you don't think it's the right fit, and you still want to be like in the Madison City School District. So how about we start, looking at homes? And at first she was like, well, we've only been in this house for a year. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and start looking. So we probably started house shopping, I think in May. And then fortunately for me, I was able to list the house that she was living in. And, her house sold relatively quickly because, again, it was during the COVID time when interest rates were 2% and 3%. So we're able to get her house sold. And then, we went under contract for one home that she thought was it. And then surprisingly, the day that we went to go do our final walkthrough, the house that she had been looking at for months came back on the market. So we went under contract for a house. We were 3 days from closing, which would have been like my second closing with the same client because I had sold their house. And she came to me and she said, Veronica, the house that I really wanted is back on the market. 3 days before closing. And I said, you know what, Stacy? I said, you being happy and getting the house that you really want is what's most important to me. So I went and I contacted the agent and I said, hey, my clients want to do a mutual release. And that did not go over too well.
Oh, I'm sure.
But
I'm sure that did not.
It did not. And it didn't help that we were with the same brokerage. Yes. So we were with the same brokerage. And when I called, and had that conversation with her, I got a call from my broker, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, my client is not happy. And the house that she really wants, the one that she loves, the one that she's been praying about and hoping that something happened. Well, it happened. And that's the one that she wants to buy.
Yeah.
So we were able to get a mutual release that day. And I got over there quick enough. Like literally, we were doing our final walkthrough. And I darted over to this house because it was a new build. And I said, hey, my clients want to make a full price offer right now. And luckily the on-site agent said, well, the builder wants this house gone because it was under contract, financing or whatever fell through. And they told me that the very first full price offer that comes through, go ahead and accept it. So this offer was accepted like verbally. Like my clients are offering full price for this house right now. Let me get it typed up in an email. Let's get this builder contract going. And we ended up closing on that house a month later. And when I tell you, she's just been like extremely happy with her purchase since then. I knew that this was the right field for me. It was very rewarding to watch her like cry these tears of joy and to just know that I was a part of that experience.
Yeah.
You know, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, now I gotta keep doing it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta keep doing it.
That's one thing I do like about like our size of the job. I mean, I know mine might be a little different, but I still feel accomplished like when the closing table hits because I still put in that side of the work and build a relationship with someone. So I mean, it's important. I mean, if you like helping others and you're very outgoing, I mean, it's definitely the career path you should take.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Unlike my government job. Y'all help me get out of this government job. I sit behind a computer all day.
yeah, I mean,
Just
we still technically sit behind computers,
well, not when I'm out.
but if
Like,
we're out and about,
I've gotten so good with those hard contracts. It takes me like 10 minutes to get the entire package written up and sent over. Seriously, I could do those things in, like with my eyes closed.
yeah,
I've written so many contracts that it's like not all of them have been accepted, but
yeah, I mean,
I've written a ton. It's not hard.
mhm,
Um, but most of my time I actually spend with my clients. I enjoy, being with them and, just seeing their faces light up when, especially when it's someone who thinks that they can't buy a home. And then I tell them, hey, I know this person said this, but I beg to differ. I
yeah,
think we
that's
can make
that's
this happen.
that's probably the best ones.
Yeah.
Especially people that get very discouraged because they're like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this.
Yep.
But I mean, you gotta find people that's actually willing to put in effort and not be like, it's not gonna work, and actually take the time to help them figure out how to do
I spend a lot of time doing that.
it.
And it's like I actually have a love-hate relationship with real estate, but that's the part of it that I love. It's like over the past year, because I've had so many difficult transactions and bad experiences, I've kind of gone back and forth with myself about whether or not I was going to keep my license. Even before I got my broker's license, it was, I'm not going to keep doing this. This is too stressful. This is too much work. I've never had an easy transaction. I'm tired of like the amount of stress that comes along with it. And I think at August, I was kind of like at my breaking point where I was like, I'm just quitting. That's it. I was a couple days away from like a closing, and my husband was like, well, just after your closing, just send your license back to the commission if you're really done. And I remember like getting to the closing table, and even up until like we got to the closing table, those clients did not think that they were going to be able to buy the home that they had just built. So we, went through the process of getting them pre-qualified, and both of them literally cried when they got pre-qualified because they thought that home ownership was just out of reach for them. Um, and then it was okay. Well, we're probably not going to be able to get a home that we really like. Surprisingly, they went and built their home and they picked everything. But even like I said, to the very day of closing, they were still skeptical that they were going to be able to like buy that house. They thought that something was going to go wrong at closing and they were going to be told they cannot purchase the home. And then when they sat there at the closing table and they signed the paperwork and the closing attorney handed them their keys, I could see them like tearing up, and they looked at me and they were just like, thank you. If you hadn't like pushed us and believed in us and kept us motivated, we would never be here. And they were living in a rental that were basically not the best conditions, and they were getting sick and having some problems with repairs, and they're like, we can finally move into a nice clean home that's actually ours, and it's because of you. And I was like, oh crap, here we go.
I can't stop now.
Now I gotta keep doing it.
Yeah.
Now I have to keep doing it.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of covers one of the questions that I was gonna do. Like, what are you most passionate about in real estate? I mean,
The people who think they can't do it.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I love. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. We have a lot of like come to Jesus and heart to heart meetings. But those are also the most rewarding experiences. And I can tell you that's been probably 90% of my transactions. In the 2.5 years that I've been in real estate, I've not had one single easy transaction.
Yeah.
Not one.
A lot of them.
Every single one has had some kind of like crazy, crazy circumstance. And I am on the phone like with the real estate commission, calling like every broker that I know. And that's part of the reason that like Shonda Davis will forever be like stuck with me, because that lady, when it comes to real estate, she knows her stuff. Like she's very, very, very knowledgeable, and she gets a couple calls from me like a week, like, I got a question. Or if I can't get Shonda, I'm calling the real estate commission. I know they probably get tired of me calling, but I'm like, most people have not seen some of the things that I've encountered in real estate.
Yeah.
And that's part of what led me to get my broker's license, because, it's like, if your broker don't know, and I'm having to do all this research to figure it out, then, hey, I may as well just
do it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on here today. So maybe say somebody watching wants to use you as their realtor broker. Go ahead and give them your contact info.
So I am Broker V at signaturerealtygroupal.com. That is my email. You can reach me by email at any time. It pops up on this phone. So email me, call me, text me. My cell phone number is 256-441-9132. I don't have two phones. That is my personal line. So you're always going to get some type of response. I have 4 kids, so sometimes it's not immediate, but I always get back to my clients. You'll never go hours or days without hearing from me. And even though I work a full-time job, that doesn't come in between the work and the passion that I have for helping my real estate clients. So again, like I said, it's not going to take me days, hours, or forever to get your paperwork submitted or to answer your questions. So feel free to call or text or email anytime.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Stay
Thank
blessed.
you.